Hi, today I'm going to make a presentation of the new version of the module that is related to transport cell. This new version is for the version 11, and we made some substantial changes in the base model that comes from the version 10. There are some features that we still didn't finish yet, like dashboard, and some other one that we are fine-tuning and improving for this new version and to adapt to the new capabilities of the version 11. So one of the main difference right now is related that we separate what is the difference between transport cell, that is cell in a transport, and a transport operation. Here we have a module that we have a dashboard that allows you to manage and to resume a bit of what is your transport operation. This dashboard actually is not finished yet because we are trying to get the best information regarding what are the information that should be here, and we expect that if you see the video and you have any kind of suggestions, we can add to the dashboard. So the transport operation, actually the concept here is that to manage the operation of transporting something wherever it is. So we have here the menu that are transport operation. We have vehicle operation, manifest, vehicles, drivers, and trailer. This trailer is something that is a customization for the case of trucks, because actually this module can be used to be with any kind of vehicle. Occurrences is related to any kind of something that is exceptional to the transport operation, is like an accident and so on. We can register as an occurrence. And we have gate in, gate out, to allow us to see what is coming in and coming out. Okay, so now we also have in new features added to fleet. Now we have a maintenance services. We can configure new services. We have a quality control. These allow you to inspect the vehicles. For example, if you have a vehicle that comes for transport, it has to be inspected. Someone going to check and make this inspection possible, and then it's going to be registered here. Accident is to register any accident to the vehicle, okay, and make like a report regarding the accident. So now the new version of transport cell, we have a module that is transport cell and another one that is transport operation. Transport cell depends on transport operation. This split allow us to do something like, for example, we are planning later on to do a transport warehouse. That is what we are going to happen is that from warehouse to make a delivery transport module, and that allows in transport operation to see what it has to be delivered, and then it has to be organized to be delivered. Okay, also we can like do transport purchase, for example, and other modules. So here the new way to do the things is to create a transport. We have, for example, this, just to the sake of a short demo. What we have here, we still have the from to address, the departure time, arrival time. For example, the arrival time is the time that probably you're going to arrive to the destination. Okay, here we have a product. So this option that is transport information is going to be available when we add a product that is of type transport. If I open this product, we can see here that is a transport cell, is a transport product. Okay, so now here we have information of transport. In general, I'm going to create a new transport operation, an empty one, but here we can see the transport operation. Actually, we can see also the vehicle that was assigned to do this transport in draft state. Okay, so here we can go to the operation that we were is associated to this transport that is already in state confirmed. Okay, so if we want to create a new, we can create, for example, a new transport. For example, let us say it will depart today at 0. It can be, for example, and will arrive next day, for example, at 8. Okay, a long journey. Okay, and here if we pick a product, if you notice that we don't have any new tab that is related to transport, but if I pick a product that has container, okay, and when I will save this, it will automatically make available this button that is a request for transport. Request for transport, what it allows the sales team to request for transport in transport operation. This split was made because if we in terms of organization, is not the seller that will define the vehicle that will make the transport. Why? Because the seller doesn't know the condition of the vehicle. Okay, so the transport cell is to allow the team that is controlling the vehicles, okay, like fleet management and a team that controls only the transport, to define which vehicle that will do this operation. So when I do request for transport, it will automatically create a request for transport. I can see my request for transport. Okay, that here it is my request for transport. So if I go now to the transport operation, I'm able to see my new requested transport, okay, from Mobile to Azustec and so on. This transport, we still have the same information: product to transport, operation lines. One operation transport can have different operation lines. Operation line, what we have in operation line: vehicles. We can choose a vehicle that will make this transport, and we can define, for instance, the time that this vehicle will depart to do this transport. For example, we can pick a driver. For example, we have this employee cannot be used in this operation. It is already scheduled, because that means that the driver is already scheduled for another transport. This also, let me try this one. Okay. A helper, if it makes sense or not. We also can leave this information empty because it's not an obligation. Okay, and here we can put, for example, all the cargo for the manifest. Here, when we see get location, is because we are working on also to integrate the GPS and routes, so we can actually see. We are also develop a new view that is a schedule view to allow us to manage what vehicle is doing what transport, what task, or what operation, and to see when it starts, when it ends, when it can do a next operation. So I have to say what is the type of the vehicle. This can be actually related. Here we can actually register different types. For example, we have here car, truck, ship, bus. The thing is that here in the operation lines, it's possible to have multiple lines, and because you can, for example, let us say that you have a cargo that is coming from airplane from abroad. You can create an operation that is related to taking the cargo from abroad to airport, from airport by truck to another point, from that point, like from a harbor, then you can take a boat to another place and so on. That means that all the operation you can be like a chain of operation, and it can be able to it will be able to control all the chain of operation. It also allows you to create just you have a bunch of transport to do in one single operation, like for example taking all the cars from a port, so you can assign different vehicles to do this operation. Operation costs is related, this is not yet integrated with the accounting, but in the future what we intend to do is to integrate it with the accounting. And the costs now is just related to the costs associated, for example, the money that it has been given to the driver for when he has to do a long trip, for example, and it can be here. Other informations are just small descriptions. So when you save your information, then you have different states: confirmed, progress, completed, or cancelled. Okay. This is just for the sake of demo. Okay. After having information, we can go, for example, to the dashboard and carry the transport to the new stage, for example. And here we can see the vehicles that are in a transport operation, for example. Here we can see manifest, that is, the manifest is related to the containers. When the driver returns, and he can show the manifest what he has transported, for example. Vehicles, we can see vehicles that are available and vehicles that are not, for example. And when we, for example, the vehicle is not available, like this one is active but is not available because probably is in reparation, for example, in maintenance. Okay, the vehicle is of type car. We have here, for example, this vehicle is already busy. Those are available now. Okay, but when we schedule, for example, transport, we cannot have a collision between the schedule of the vehicle. When we try to put just like the driver, we cannot have a double schedule, a schedule on top of another operation, for example. Okay, we can see drivers here. This is an attempt to and this is something that we are going to work and improve, is to see the status of the driver, and also to account more or less the time, the number of driving hours that that driver can perform. And this is only here for the demo, but is not going to be released yet, but we are working on it. So those are new features that we are developing. We have also occurrences. Occurrences, for example, is like if we have an accident or anything like a tire and so on that blown up, and so we need to register occurrences associated to the operation. Gate in, gate out is just a way of scheduling for the companies that, for example, a truck company, if they have someone that controls what trucks can go out and which one can go in. So the idea is that when you schedule a transport operation to go to that day, automatically going to be there this information in that area, so we can consult and see if this truck can leave the parking lot. The same applies to the trailer. Here is for the vehicles, here is for the trailer, because we also doing this for the company that use a lot of trucks. In fleet, what we have here is just services item, service template. For example, when we want to create filter change, this is especially for those companies that they have their own reparation office for the vehicles, so they can manage, or even though they cannot have it, they may want to, for example, to register new tasks to perform to improve the car, to make maintenance in the car. Here we have a inspection. Inspection allow you to see what is the inspection that you can do in a vehicle. Okay, is you can create your different kind of inspection and put different categories, items, and if it's conditional or no. Then after inspecting, we can just say the status of the inspection of each of items that we have actually in the list, if they are good or not. Any observation can be added here. I think we have one model here. Okay, we have one model here. Accident is to register any kind of accidents related to the vehicle when we manage the fleet. Okay, and we can put make a description of especially the costs are related to the accidents. We can put images. Okay, we can register if some other people were involved in this accident or the vehicle, for example, and we can make a description of this accident. For example, is guilty is to see if the accident was for our fault. So this is the module. Here is just some improvement that in extension that we did to the normal fleet from Odoo. Okay, and this is the module, the new version, and we are still improving some new features to the modules, like I said before. Any suggestions, any question, please feel free to contact us, and to take any if you want any improvement, we can discuss it and we can adapt it. Thank you.